Hi, my name is Chasen Robbins. My wife, Kelly, and I just finished the Banja Luka 23 GP, and we just wanted to give you a quick rundown of finances. I also have a folder available with all of our expenses and the advanced accounting if you want to see more of the nitty gritty. But here is a basic overview of our budget. You have promo costs. That could be BREs for students. We actually Venmoed $5 per student for our online fundraising training so they could get a little snack. You need to print the packets. We suggest printing them at a local church that will pay for your printing. And then we just ordered these 1-inch folders off of Amazon that were flexible and they could bend, so they were easier to carry in backpacks. Of course, you have camper's insurance right here that you'll have to factor in. And the next thing is flights. I would suggest booking flights as early as you can. Of course, that means getting your team solidified and ready to go. Flights went up dramatically last year, and that really took a toll on our budget. So I highly suggest buying flights early. We expected this, but we also had to pay an extra $300 for checked bags for 6 people from Arizona to meet us in Salt Lake because that did not count as an international flight for some reason. You don't have to get visas to go to Banja Luka. Orientation, room, and board is just what we spent in Salt Lake over the past couple of days, and that's just meals, orientation meals. We bought some stuff at 7-Eleven. You can find that here in the spreadsheet. Debriefing room and board. This was the cost of our Airbnb in Croatia. If you would like Daniela's contact information, you can message me about it. I have her on Viber and WhatsApp, but you can also book it through VRBO. The meals at the Airbnb will be about 12 euros a person. She makes a wonderful lunch and a wonderful dinner, ranging from fried chicken to spaghetti bolognese, to some other local dishes here, to stuffed peppers. They're really, really great. Your celebration meal will be anywhere from 25 to 30 euros a person if you go to the restaurant right next to the Airbnb. And you can get a fish meal, a big meat meal. Bottles of water are about 5 euros. So it's a pretty cheap place here, actually, if you didn't want to go all out. But now moving on to the bus van for our airport. Lilia will book you the bus, and the bus should be a pretty standard price, around $614. I think that's around 900 marks. Of course, you'll have to tip the driver, and then you're going to want snacks that Lilia can pick up for you. There will be transportation at debriefing. You're going to need towns for Old Town, or vans for Old Town. That will be about 190 euros, or about 50 to 60 euros per 8 or 9 people. Then you will need vans and a cab for the airport, and that'll be about 50 to 60 euros per 6 to 7 people. What we did in debrief is we went on a 3-island boat tour. I have Joseph's contact information if you would like to reach out to him. It takes you on a 3-island boat tour. You can bargain with him. He had it set at 60 euros a person, but because we were taking such a large group, he dropped it to 50 euros. And because we were paying in cash, I got him to go to 45 euros. If you brought an even bigger group, you could probably get him to go to 40 euros. He's a really great guy, puts on a really good thing. The first island, there will be ice cream at, so you may want to budget aside 4 euros per person to buy ice cream. If you buy enough ice cream, then you get free ice cream, and it's really great. Here is some more specific information as we go to room and board. The room and board, you're going to have to pay about 20 marks per person per day at Hostel Havana, which is ran by Liliana, and you should pay the same price at the church for whatever staff you bring there. So 20 marks per person per day. That's the lodging at Hostel Havana and the church. And we're going to go to the next page for more details. So I'm going to take you right here down to this page that says details to give you a more brief overview of how we gave out our per diem, the meals, and the cost of other things. You have Studenik. Studenik is a restaurant next to the church. You can walk there in about 3 minutes. They have really great food, really hearty food, and that is what we used for our orientation week. It is about 13 kilomarks per person over This says days, but I believe we had 7 meals there, and that translates to about $7, $7-ish dollars. But you may want to check with Lilia. Over the past couple of years, the kilomarks has gone up every year due to inflation. So just make sure you check in with Lilia. But this price should factor in bottled water too, which you always have to pay for. Lunch at the cafeteria is 7 marks, and that was 7 marks over 15 days for 27 people. You should go to lunch. Lunch is your biggest bang for your money. It's the largest meal, and it's probably where you're going to meet the most students. That translates down to about $4 per day per student. So it's about $1,500 from our calculations. Dinner is less expensive. It's about 5 marks. It is less food. There might be less students, but overall, for the next couple weeks after orientation, it's well worth it to have dinner on campus. Breakfast at the hostel is 5 marks times 26 days, times 27 people. The interesting thing about breakfast is it is a really hearty breakfast and it is really good. However, you might get a cheaper option just by giving students 3 to 4 marks to go to a bakery and to go get coffee, because some students tend to eat a lot at breakfast. Some students don't eat that much, or they don't go to breakfast at all, but you have to pay for it because Biliana wants exact numbers every time you go there, and really trying to keep track of it is difficult. So for the first week, you may want to have breakfast at the hostel, but then the next weeks after that, you might just want to give students a per diem to buy breakfast every day, which would be about 3 to 5 marks, if not less than that. The hostel, which we just talked about, is 20 marks a night for 27 days for 22 students. That translates to about $6,600 for our stay for 22 people there. And then, of course, we had 5 staff at the church for 27 nights, and that kind of factors in a gift too. Per diem was an interesting thing to give out to students. We gave students, right here you can see in this column, we gave students 50 kilomarks a week for 4 weeks, and we had 18 students. We talked to Lilia about this per diem, and she thought it was actually a more than generous price. She thought it was too much to give to students. But what goes into this per diem is about 20 kilomarks a week for their Sabbath meals. That will cover lunch and dinner, and unless you put breakfast into the equation, you might want to add a couple more marks, and maybe you want to make it 25. It will also cover a Sunday meal, because we don't do meals together on Sunday. We do lunch at the church that are just chicken sandwiches or pizza, and that'll be about 5 marks a person for a lunch meal at the church, which is good because then students can stay there and invite them to Bible study. Laundry is going to be about 5 kilomarks a week max. They can do laundry on campus for 4 kilomarks, and they can actually combine loads together and even save more money. It's very simple, and we have videos of how to reach those laundry rooms on campus. Students are beyond friendly, and it's actually a really great way to connect with locals if you ask them to teach them how to do laundry. It's really awesome. 15 marks is going to be for coffees out every week. So just coffees with local students. So that adds up to about 50 kilomarks. And once again, Lilia thought this was a more than generous price. She said this would be shocking for any local student to see this. So our recommendation is that you don't go over 50 kilomarks per week per student, but you can if you see it fit. Then we have student leaders. We gave them the same breakdown as everyone else, but we added another 12.5 marks per week for their one-on-ones, and they would just take students out to a nicer coffee, maybe the Fabrica by the river, or they would go to a bakery and get coffee, but they would not go to a meal just because the meals are significantly cheaper in the dining hall. For staff, we gave the same breakdown, but we gave a little bit more money for their one-on-ones just because they had more students to meet with. Now, for the directors, I'll try to explain this well. Whatever per diem you give per small group, just give that per diem to yourself. It really helps to have extra cash on hand. So for example, Kelly and I gave 550 kilomarks per small group, but then we also gave 550 kilomarks to ourselves. And that covered our one-on-ones, but it also covered our staff meetings. And that covered Cafe Ictus snacks and event snacks. Now, Cafe Ictus snacks, you're gonna have anywhere from 5 to 6 Cafe Ictus meetings, and you're gonna need to spend about 20 kilomarks on snacks such as Frondi, Jaffa cakes, Fanta, Coca-Cola, mineral water, but you'll also need to buy cleaning supplies. So it's helpful to budget in about 120 to 150 kilomarks for Cafe Ictus events. Then you will also have event snacks. You will have 6 outreach events that you'll need to spend anywhere from 30 to 40 kilomarks on. So you're going to want about 240 kilomarks to spend on those event snacks. And it's just nice to have that written into your per diem. So even though you're giving each small group 550 kilomarks for them to dole out to their students and your student leaders and staff, you write yourself that, and then you can spend it on these events and other miscellaneous items, which Kelly has written here would be gifts, cleaning supplies, meals not at the cafeteria, cafes. And then this also adds up to the meals you can have in breakfast, which takes us to the next part of our segment here. You have cultural venues right here that we did spend some marks on. You had Moto Fest. It's around 20 kilomarks a ticket. It's a great way to become culturally engaged with students. It's really fun. And that's actually where we met a lot of our contacts who joined Bible study. There's something about seeing non-drunk Americans that is just really good for outreach. You have gifts for hosts, which you should factor in. We didn't. They really like consumable items. So coffee, jam, crackers, maybe not so much on like kitsch items or knick-knacky items. You also have the travel from the program city. This includes your bus from Banja Luka to Dubrovnik. What we did is we took a bus from Banja Luka to Mostar. It was about $1,100, so it was 1,900 marks. Then finally, we had to pay for our Mostar hotel, which was about $386, but I think it was 660 kilomarks, and that was for 27 people. It was a great place. It was 500 meters away from the bridge, wonderful view, and we gave students 20 kilomarks a piece to cover dinner, ice cream, and breakfast that morning. So overall, it's a very, very inexpensive place. And finally, we have supplies that we overspent some money on. And they're not here on the spreadsheet, but they are on the Google Doc. We bought balls from Walmart, medicine and candy, a FedEx tube to take the proxy over. We spent some money on some frames. Expect that Lilia has items for you to buy there, such as blessing the English department or science and faculty department. We had to spend about another $300 on supplies over there. So just make sure you budget that in. You might spend $500 on supplies here with candy and whatnot, but you'll need to spend another $300 there. You may not need to buy balls from Walmart. There might be some there. There's definitely a pump there. Just message Lilia for any of those details. Okay, this should take you through most of the budget. And if you have any questions, you can email me at chasen.robbins@intervarsity.org or text me at 801-678-1699. One final note is when you are trying to figure out the dollar ratio from marks, you multiply for marks and you divide for dollars. So if you have $1 and you want to figure out what $1 is worth in marks, you do $1 times 1.79. And that will be about 1.79 marks. That's a good conversion ratio, is 1.79. That's a good deal we got. So if you have 500 marks and you want to divide, you divide for dollars, you divide it by 1.79. 500 marks equals $280. And once again, that's a pretty good conversion rate. For the best conversion rate, there's an orange stand by the Bosca, which is in City Center. It is on Gentleman Street and it's orange, and they give the best conversion rate in all of Banja Luka. And when you're translating or when you're transferring a large amount of money, that really does matter. Sorry, one more final note. As you are making a transition from Banja Luka to Mostar to Dubrovnik, Dubrovnik takes euros. And you're going to want to figure out a way to get euros. You can either get them in Mostar or in Banja Luka. You have to really go out of your way, and it's a big hassle to get euros in Dubrovnik, even though you might get a better exchange rate. Just go to a bank, ask Daniela Radan, who's the owner of the Airbnb, to take you to a bank one day, and she'll be more than happy to do that. Just be aware that some banks will only convert $2,000 at a time. So you want to go to a bank that won't make that cap. And then, sorry, one more thing. Everything in Croatia is probably 2 to 3 times the price. So just as an example, a coffee in Banja Luka is 250 kilomarks, but a coffee in Croatia is about 3 to 4 euro. So 4 euro, so 2 euro is already double the price of a mark. That's 4 marks, but it's 4 euro, so it's actually 8 marks. So that could give you a good idea of spending. If everything here is about 2 to 4 times more expensive, especially on where you go. Blessings on your trip. And once again, let me know if you have any questions, chasen.robbins@intervarsity.org, or you can text me at 801-678-1699.